Hi, I'm Scott Olson with FounderBuzz, and I'm here today with Hayes Davis of Appozite, maker of TweetReach. Thanks for being with us today.
Thanks for having me.
Well, we always like to start out. Why don't you just tell us a little bit about yourself and what you do?
Sure. I'm one of the founders of Appozite, and so our product is TweetReach. And what TweetReach is it's a lot like Google Analytics for Twitter campaigns. So what we do is we provide analytics services for primarily PR and marketing agencies, publicists, event producers who have something going on Twitter or going on, outside of Twitter, and they want to understand what the impact of their messaging for their event is, or how many people are talking about it, what the overall audience size is, that type of thing. So that's really what our service does.
You know, um, I work in technology, and as you do, and a lot of times we get very focused in the tech industry on what is what's going on in the Bay, what's going on in the technology industry. But Twitter, it seems like in particular, spans many different industries, and I'd be interested in your take on what industries are really getting the most out of Twitter right now that are the non-tech industries.
Yeah, so one of the really cool things about Twitter is I think the people that are getting the most benefit, the companies getting the most benefit, really aren't necessarily tech companies at all. So, like I said, we work with a lot of agencies who use our tools on behalf of their clients, and it's a really wide range. We see consumer brands, everything from hotels. We actually have a hotel, an agency that works with us on behalf of a hotel chain where they actually encourage the managers of all of their properties to tweet and interact with people on Twitter. They actually, as I understand it, part of their evaluation metrics for those managers is based on what they do in social media. So kind of some interesting use cases there. We see media is huge on Twitter. A lot of TV shows, a lot of kind of media events, things like the Oscars. We worked some with the Academy when they put on the Oscars. Are really interested in what the engagement is on Twitter, who's talking during the show, what are they talking about, those kinds of things. So we see a lot of that, and there's some really good uses out there. Glee, Community, those shows have done really
Yeah,
interesting.
certainly media.
Yeah, they're doing really interesting things. Promoting a particular hashtag, getting people to talk while they're watching, and even having the actors and the characters tweet. So
Huh.
it's really interesting stuff that's going on out there. So
Now,
it spans a big range.
Now you mentioned that most of your clients are the agencies and PR groups. Do you see more in the future, more direct business with the organizations themselves, as this kind of moves beyond the specialists whose business is getting the word out to companies who kind of more integrate this into their daily process?
Well, so our big vision with TweetReach is that we position ourselves as measuring earned media. And if you're not kind of into all the lingo there, the idea behind earned media is that's what people say about you based on what you've put out there in terms of your brand, your advertising campaigns, the things you've paid for. I call those paid media. And so, what we believe is that everyone out there is doing any kind of marketing. Probably half of their efforts should be devoted to the earned component. What are people saying about you based on what you're doing on the other side of your business, on the paid component? And so, we really believe that the tools that we're building are going to be useful for not just agencies, but anybody who's in-house doing marketing, who's putting on events, who's basically trying to get the word out about their company. I think we all kind of agree that social media is important, just kind of from a general, I should be listening and talking to my customers sort of thing. But we believe it's going to be a component that everybody's going to be wanting to measure
Yeah.
for every marketing campaign they do. So it'll certainly move beyond agencies. I think agencies are at the forefront of it because, yeah, like you said, they're doing some specialization there now, but it's going to be something you have to do.
Yeah, I
Um,
mean, certainly a lot of companies are experimenting with social media in general, and not just Twitter, but Facebook and
yes.
other other avenues. And I think that measuring its results are absolutely critical for it to get adoption and greater support.
Yeah.
Kind of from your experience in building this business, do if you're talking to a company out there that really wants to say, how do I get greater reach for my content? Do you have any kind of piece of advice of things that tend to work?
Yeah, so there's two things that are important when you think about reach. One is the audience, and then two is the actual content. I'll start with content just because the bottom line is if you share something, you put something out there that nobody finds interesting or engaging, then you're not going to get any additional reach. You can have all the social media in the world if you're just pouring out, things that no one really cares about, and you're not going to get any of that kind of viral spread that everybody wants. We had a realtor once, a little aside here that I thought was kind of funny. We had a realtor who was explaining to us what they could provide for us when they were selling our house. They're like, we're going to post a listing on Facebook so it'll go viral.
Right.
We're kind of in that phase right now where everybody thinks all they have to do is just kind of post something. I'll put it up on my Facebook page, or I'll post it on Twitter, and that's what needs to happen. Well, you're really going to be limited to just the people who are following you or who've liked you on Facebook and that type of thing at that point, unless you do something that people find really engaging. And so humor works for that. Making yourself interesting. Some people choose to become controversial or take stances on things, and you can kind of look at that maybe as link bait, but it's sort of the concept works, right? You need to be putting out content that people find interesting, and you have to ask yourself, I think, step away from your own business for a second and say, if I wasn't involved with this company and I saw this piece of content floating around, would I want to share it with somebody? And if the answer is, well, not really, then most likely no one else is going to want to, right? So, but then there's a lot of people who talk, on the audience side about, well, you want to engage with the influencers and that type of thing. And there's companies out there who are trying to come up with some number that represents influence. And with the idea that you can magically identify, this guy, if I just get him to
like clout or something, right?
Right. And so, the problem with that, I think, is that once you have content that gets out there, you have to get it to the right people. But I think there's not any number that really boils that down. And it's just like anytime you start a business, you need to know who in your industry or who among your customers are the people that have some influence. And that just takes some legwork to understand. And you want to try to engage those people over time to build up that audience. And I think once you have that in place, got an audience of people who are engaged with you in some way, and then you have content that's potentially interesting, then that's how you can get more reach for what you do, because people are going to share that out with their audiences. And that's the cool part about the social media world that we live in. Everybody has some audience, right? So if you can kind of get somebody interested in what you're doing, and willing to kind of share your content, and especially if your content can make them look good. If you get somebody who wants to be seen as sort of an industry leader in something, and you write a blog post that is maybe really in depth on a particular topic with your industry, then that person might want to retweet that or share that along, because it benefits them.
Right.
So anyway, there's no silver bullet for that. Yeah.
Interesting content. I think that the using humor is a good advice, and that maybe that kind of relates to just being real, right? So I definitely appreciate you taking the time today, and I'm definitely going to check out your product for my own stuff.
Yeah, great. Well, happy to have you.
Great. Thanks a lot.
Thanks a lot. Bye now.